All right. I want to first ask you about waiting. All right. Like I've been struggling. I've been wanting to do some films. I don't know. Do you know who Bo Miles is?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
big fan.
Yeah. Same here. I love the stuff he does. And I've been wanting to try to do some running films. And I've been trying to think about how to make running interesting. And it's a struggle. And then I see your video and I'm like, I'm I'm humbled in a way because you did a video of nothing, of just waiting around. And uh, I've watched it a handful of times. Anybody that's watching this video, I'm gonna put a little link to this to it. Stop, go watch the video. What is it, like 4 minutes? It's very well done, and you did something of nothing, which is amazing. Can you talk me through like how the idea came to you and the whole process?
Absolutely, Ben. Yeah, thank you first of all for your kindness in watching it more than once. I really appreciate that. In in many senses, the video came about purely because of I guess, the phone in my hand. There was this almost guilt that I had an instrument to make something with, but I didn't necessarily have the content. And in the nature of the job in which I showcase in this video, I almost felt almost like there was a creativity that I needed to put out into the world. Maybe not publicly, maybe it didn't have to be publicly, but I felt a sense on this particular day to let those creative juices out. And my phone being the only camera that I had on me in this sense, I'm a photographer by trade. That's what I did previously in London. I taught photography and I've studied at university. And I think, as probably all artists, I think we all share this desire to create. And I don't know about all of us, but I definitely felt guilt when there's been a little bit of time since the last thing that I posted. And I guess waiting came about as an idea, as a concept before I shot anything, of waiting to produce something worthy or at least share something worthy from my time in Australia. And I've been here for 6 months and I haven't really shot anything. Truth be told, I've got a couple of cameras here that I haven't picked up. I haven't loaded a roll of film into either of them. And after 6 months, I guess enough was enough. And to put it simply, there's probably a clear reference for you all. If any of you are interested in film, Wes Anderson, one of my absolute heroes. Just on that day, I was looking at the instrument in that video. It's called a stacker, and the yellow stacker in front of me, it just lined up so well with the horizon. This isn't a coincidence. The instruments are actually lined up that way to perform their job, but just the level nature of this stacker, I just thought that looked so pleasing. And that's really where the movie came about while I was waiting for these trucks. And there was an essence here, Ben, where I thought this is such a temporary moment. I'm only doing this job for 3 months. And yeah, I guess someone from the company could see it. Maybe I'll get in trouble for making movies at work. But in a way, I almost felt like, okay, I'm guilty that I haven't produced content in this crazy age of 1,000 images a second being published online. There's that guilt, but there's also a sense here where I'm like, man, if I don't make this, who else will? And I guess that is probably your answer if you were to ask me, why do I shoot? Why do I make movies? Why do I have the YouTube channel? I'm kind of scared no one else will, and I feel a responsibility there.
Your imagery that you captured is stunning. I mean, and I'm in my head, I'm thinking, what a contrast from London. I mean, like I feel like I'm looking at a different planet in some of it. I mean, I recognize the images and what I'm looking at, but it's very it's very well shot. Like I feel like it could be the start to like a Mad Max movie too. Like it could be the start to something more. Like it's gonna go somewhere, and it's very compelling.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's um, a craft I find really, really quite pleasing, to be honest. Framing and I guess having a visual sense and a visual idea of a production before it happens, aligning those ingredients, and hopefully pulling off something that works. You know, this, as I say, I shot on my phone, but there was time spent in Premiere. You know, lining this thing up, I guess, cooking with those ingredients. And in many ways, as I said, I am a photographer, but I really, as I'll discuss, I hope, transitioned into being a filmmaker. And I think that's come from perhaps the limits I found within photography. So thank you, Ben, for mentioning this short movie I've made. Parts 1 and 2 have brought me a lot of a lot of joy to make, and actually, a big reason why I published these videos is to share with my family back home. You know, because they are back in the UK. They're 17. Is it 17? No, it can't be 17,000 K, because you're 17,000 K away.
Think so.
They must be about 10,000 K away. But you know, they're really far away, and it's quite fun to share these videos that I make and sort of inform them.
It could be which direction you go around the globe to get to us.
Yeah, I guess so.
But I do want to ask you on that though. When did you have the vision? Because I'm also doing this kinds of stuff. The script, I'm guessing, came at the end. When did you kind of know what this was gonna look like, or did you not know as you're putting it together? Did you have an overall vision for this at some point, or you just had a collection of things that you pieced?
Absolutely, it was all shot, especially waiting. Part 1, it was shot in 10 minutes, you know, and the script was something that had been bouncing around in my head for an hour or two. There's actually a fantastic YouTuber, and to be honest, to call him a YouTuber is probably a bit of a misnomer, because this guy really is, well, let me just say, he calls himself the spirited man, but Van Neistat on YouTube is, I think he's an absolute genius. And again, I do hope in many ways that I've, without copying Van's format of storytelling, I do hope at least I can complement him, and there's a reference there. But Van's work in his quite dramatic style of narration, almost Werner Herzog-esque, was really in my head that day as I looked out at the horizon, and there was nothing happening this day, Ben. It was so especially quiet. Usually you can hear birds. We have galahs here. They're beautiful birds, and they chirp. And often with the wind, you can hear trucks from the nearby expressway. But on this day, there was nothing. And it just seemed like someone had pressed the mute layer on my Premiere Pro channel. I had the visuals, but I didn't have the audio. And it's funny, man, because as a, I guess, filmmaker, to call myself now, my first thought in that moment was like, now's a great time for audio, because there's no wind. And my phone, the audio is not great, but it definitely can't handle wind. And I when I saw that opportunity for no wind, I thought, let me just record this audio now, and then the video is going to happen, So it was really a process of speaking into my phone whilst recording, and then going and getting shot. And yeah, that's pretty much the method. But this is a low budget operation. We haven't got onto my channel yet, but it's I try and keep it as raw and stripped back as I can.
And do you really have to sweep, or is that like a humor element? Because you're sweeping, it looks like you're just sweeping dirt around.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not sure if you'll see the calluses, but just along my hand here, I've got blisters from the 3 months of sweeping. And I do actually have gloves that I'm given quite regularly to prevent this. But the gloves have worn out on these thumb bits. Don't know what you call that. But I've worn through about 5 pairs of gloves because of this broom. And it's funny because the sweeping is really a byproduct of the job. There's so much other stuff, also quite menial, to do. But yeah, there's a lot of sweeping.
So since we're